Hey guys, so we're here, back again with another action figure review. Today we'll be taking a look at the Masterverse new Eternia Manatoms, brought to us by the fine folks over at, say it with me now, Mattel. And this is a fairly quote-unquote recent addition to not only the Masterverse line, but the new Eternia subline, because he's only been out for about a month now as the time I'm posting this video, because he came into my pile of loot over on good old BTS late October, early November, if I remember correctly. So he hasn't been sitting there as long as some of the other stuff that I recently acquired from said pile of loot order, to say the very least. But with all that being said, let's cut right to the chase and get into the meat and taters of this review, starting off with the Master of Weapons accessories here. I can place them. There they are. And I dropped one of the hands. Great. This is off to a great start. He comes with a fist hand for the right side and a grip hand for the left. On him, he has a grip hand on the right and a fist hand on the left. So he does come with a kind of mirrored set of hands for that. He comes with an alternate head, which is a little bit more traditional looking as far as the helmet goes. And one thing to note about the helmet, if I can get it off here, it is a separate piece on both heads, so you can pop it off. I will say it's a little tricky to do that with this helmet, but with the other helmet it's a little easier. I guess if you got a couple of these, you could display one way and one the other, maybe as a palace guard. That said, he of course comes with his iconic club weapon here, which has a removable front end or top, and you can replace it with this kind of ball and chain. So I'll just pop that in off cam here. There you go. Now I will say, be careful with this chain, you don't want to break it, but it is gummy, so it should be okay. I will say, I do wish this was curved more, like maybe like this. I don't know. Just seems a bit stiff, just sticking straight out like that. But me personally, I prefer the regular club like that. And he does actually have a little clip on his back. You can put this. Alright. Yeah. So you can snap that in. Stays in there nice and snug. Looks good back there. So we're actually going to leave that back there and go over articulation. But first let's bring him in. A bit of a close-up here. He's got the curly Q mustache. That's pretty rad. Kind of looks like Mr. Bryan a bit. And again, this helmet can come off as well. At least I thought it could. Heck. There we go. Really tight on there. If you heat it up, it's a lot easier. But now you can see this head, like the other one, has the kind of wetsuit hood thing going on. So that's pretty cool. That's different. You know, we're used to old Donkey here having the kind of the short, kind of buzz cut, or even the little ponytail a la 2000X, but this one he just has a kind of a hood thing going on. But as far as articulation goes, his head can rotate side to side. It does kind of shift forward and back on that neck peg there. I will tell you, this armor over here is a lot like the Stratos wings. It pegs in around the elbow. It has a tendency to come unpegged, but because this kind of fits around the arm a little bit more snug, you don't got to worry about this kind of falling down and just being a nuisance. His shoulders go out and down, forward and back. I will say his shoulders were tight initially, but I did heat him up. Bicep full 360, double elbow, get you about that far without pushing it too much. I will say the bottom elbows on this guy were really tight out of package, so be wary about that. There you go. You can bend up about that far. His wrist can swivel. And on this hand only, he can hinge up and down. The other hands, they don't do that. So I'm not quite sure what's going on with that, but there you go. He does have a diaphragm joint, which does allow him to crunch forward about that far and back. As long as his club's not in the way, he can go back that far. He can also rotate at the waist, but also in the diaphragm, but again, it's super tight. So be wary about that. He does have the dreaded drop-down hips, which I'm not a fan of, but on him they're not stuck, so that's good at least. He can kick forward pretty far, almost 90 degrees. He can kick back. He's got a thigh cut, double jointed knee. He's got a boot swivel, hinge in the foot with a rocker joint, and that's your lot. For articulation anyways. Should be worth noting the little kind of cylindrical piece on the back here that the club snaps into. You can unpeg this, but I like it in there. I think it adds a little something to the figure, if I'm being honest with you. But that said, I do wish this Man-at-Arms came with his arm gun, arm cannon, whatever you want to call it. Because, I don't know, being the heroic master of weapons, he only comes with the mace. Like ever, and it would be nice to get a Man-at-Arms that comes with some more weapons. That's not from like Revelation or something where those weapons are kind of scene specific, you know? It's ones he uses throughout the story. Or the mythos, or whatever they're trying to build here. So, that's about my only gripe with this figure. Other than that, I think he's pretty kick butt. I like him a lot. And shout out to the local friend who shall not be named's twin brother. This is his favorite character, while the local friend who shall not be named for privacy reasons, his favorite is Ram Man. And of course, if you're subscribed to this channel, you already know that my favorite is Scareglow. So, as the local friend who shall not be named for privacy reasons says, like always, Overlord likes the villains more. What can I say? They look cooler. So, with that being said, let's move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Man-at-Arms from the new Eternia subline alongside the previous, more quote-unquote traditional-looking Man-at-Arms we got in the Masterverse line. This is, of course, the Masters of the Universe Revelation version of Man-at-Arms. The first version, not the second super deluxe-y one with all the accessories. Still a decent figure, but this new one just blows it out of the water, if you ask me. And then, for another new Eternia offering, we have the Viking He-Man, who is a great companion piece to this Man-at-Arms right here. Sorry about that, I had the hiccups for a second there. Moving these two out of the way. The other day when I was reviewing Clawful, I had crabs in my throat. Now I got Lord knows what. But because this wouldn't be one of my videos without him, there's the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibulus. There. And the infamous 11th Spawn, who as usual towers over everyone. And like Man-at-Arms, a master of weapons in his own right. So, with that being said, time to wrap things up. Some final thoughts. Overall, and while I still firmly believe that good old Man-at-Arms here would have benefited from having a couple extra weapons, since he is the heroic master of weapons after all, unlike the new Eternia! Faker, I took a look at quite some time ago now, almost 2 months, right? It's been a while. Unlike that figure, however, it's not as detrimental here, because I still feel like you are getting the complete package with this figure, while in Faker's case, it just seemed like kind of a mishmash of various incarnations of Faker from the prototype stage. That said, since I am a 2000X guy, whenever Man-at-Arms doesn't have the arm cannon, yeah, I'm going to be a little bit bummed out, because my Man-at-Arms growing up in the early 2000s always had the arm cannon, so when it's absent, yeah, it does kind of suck. But here, I think this is good enough to warrant the price point, and you do get a couple of options in regards to his club weapon of choice there. So with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review. Until next time, I'll catch you guys later.